It's Saturday, February 21st, 2026. And if you glanced at your calendar this morning, you'd know that the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup has technically begun.
Technically being the key word there.
Right, because if you actually tuned in for the opener in Colombo, you didn't see any boundaries or wickets. You mostly just saw tarp covers and, a lot of very wet ground staff.
Yeah, it was a pretty thundering anticlimax. New Zealand versus Pakistan completely abandoned without a single ball being bowled.
Which sounds like a total non-event for a cricket fan.
Oh, absolutely.
But that brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. Because despite the washout, the insights pouring out of those dressing rooms, and the tactical chatter setting up tomorrow's massive games, it's actually incredibly rich.
It really is. I mean, the cricket stops, but the analysis definitely doesn't.
Exactly. So we've got a really dense stack of sources today. We're looking at analysis from legends like Sunil Gavaskar, Virender Sehwag, Nasser Hussain, plus some surprisingly candid interviews from guys like Quinton de Kock and Surya Kumar Yadav.
And we're going to unpack all of it.
We are. So here's the roadmap for you. First, we're diving into the psychology of a rain delay, like what actually happens in that dressing room. Second, we're heading to Palakkad for England against Sri Lanka, where the data is throwing up some massive red flags.
Huge red flags.
And finally, the blockbuster, India versus South Africa, a tactical breakdown of the rematch featuring a guy they're literally calling a cheat code.
I love that term.
It's so good. But let's start with the damp squib in Colombo. New Zealand versus Pakistan. Abandon, 1 point each. But the interesting part happened right before the rain. The toss.
Right. Salman Agha won the toss for Pakistan and chose to bat.
Which is, looking at the conditions, it was already drizzling. Heavy cloud cover. Conventional wisdom says you bowl first there.
Right. 100%. You bowl first. You want to know exactly what the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern target is if the game gets shortened?
Because setting a target blindly in a shortened game is a nightmare.
It's a massive gamble. You don't know if you're pacing yourself for 20 overs or 10. But looking at the aftermath, the consensus from our sources, including Ajinkya Rahane, is that Pakistan actually walked away as the lucky ones here.
They're happy to split the points.
Oh, definitely. Think about the matchup in those specific conditions. New Zealand seamers, in heavy overcast conditions, they would have been absolutely lethal.
Licking their lips.
Exactly. Rahane made the point that New Zealand will feel totally undone by this. They went into this as favorites, expecting a bankable win. And now they're just splitting the points.
And that completely tightens up the group immediately. Everyone is neck and neck now.
Right. It keeps Pakistan alive without exposing their top order to that moving ball on day one.
Now, speaking of the rain delay itself, Rahane shared some details about what the players are actually doing inside. And it kind of shatters the illusion for the fans.
Well, the romanticized view of the dressing room.
Yeah. You imagine intense strategy sessions, coaches with whiteboards, players staying hyper-focused.
Yeah, that's not happening. It is the boring reality of professional cricket. Rahane said it's actually more mentally draining than playing.
Because you're just sitting there in your kit.
Right, from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Fully padded up sometimes. And you have to stay ready to sprint out, but there's nothing to do.
He mentioned they were sleeping on the physio beds.
Sleeping on the treatment tables. Playing foot volleyball with a kit bag.
With a kit bag?
Yeah, or playing tennis ball cricket inside the locker room, dodging benches. It's basically a rainy day in a high school gym.
But the crucial takeaway for you, the listener, is the energy management aspect. Rahane noted how hard that transition is. If the umpire suddenly says, hey, we're playing a 5-over shootout in 10 minutes.
You have to flip a switch.
Exactly. You go from joking around half asleep to facing a bowler at 145 Ks. That cognitive depletion is a real factor that stats just don't capture.
It's brutal in the nervous system.
All right, let's move from the washout to a game we hopefully actually get to see Sunday. England versus Sri Lanka at Palakkad.
This one is fascinating.
It is. Now, surface level, England just swept Sri Lanka 3-0 in a bilateral series. So, case closed, right? England should cruise.
You would think so.
Oh.
But our sources are screaming the exact opposite. Do not look at that 3-0 scoreline.
Why? Just because World Cup pressure is different.
Well, yes, Sri Lanka's fielding coach, R. Sridhar, made a great point about that. The freedom of a bilateral series versus the suffocating pressure of a Super 8 game. In a bilateral, you experiment. You play freely. Here, every single ball carries elimination weight.
Teams just naturally play tighter.
Exactly. But it's also about England's current form. The analysis points out they have seriously huffed and puffed through the group stage.
They struggled against Nepal.
Nepal, Italy. This isn't the dominant England we're used to. They look really clunky.
And there is a specific, terrifying stat for England concerning Just Butler, and it's all about his record against spin.
Oh, this is a massive red flag. Butler is historically one of the great destructive batters, right? A couple of years ago, he was averaging around 47 against spin.
Elite numbers.
Match-winning numbers. But since 2025, that average has completely cratered, down to 18.75.
18.75. That's not a slump. That's a structural crisis for your captain.
It is. And look where they're playing. Palakkala, Sri Lanka. This pitch grips, it turns. Sri Lanka is going to look at that stat and just open with spinners from both ends the minute Butler walks out.
And to make matters worse for England, they have this bizarre injury situation with Jacob Bethel.
Right, the finger injury.
I read this and thought it was just ridiculous bureaucracy.
It's the ICC rulebook in action. Basically, Bethel has an injured finger. He needs it strapped. But the rules say you cannot bowl with certain types of strapping on your bowling hand.
Because it could give an unfair advantage, like extra grip on the ball.
Exactly. Even if it's purely medical, you can't bowl with it. So he can play as a batter, but England essentially loses his spin overs.
Which completely ruins their balance.
In spin-friendly conditions, you desperately need those overs. Now Butler has to squeeze them out of seamers who might just get targeted on that surface.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka is looking incredibly comfortable. It's their home ground. They recently dismantled Australia there.
They know the wind angles perfectly, which is huge in Palakkala because it's an open stadium.
Yeah.
And they're getting Dushmantha Chamira back from rest, replacing Pramod Madushan. So they're adding genuine pace to their spin threat.
So the takeaway here is clear. Do not trust the bilateral form. England is incredibly vulnerable, and a Sri Lankan upset is very, very possible.
I honestly think Sri Lanka are slight favorites in these specific conditions.
Wow. Okay, let's shift to the main event, the blockbuster. India versus South Africa in Ahmedabad.
The rematch.
A rematch of the 2024 final. Both teams undefeated. But India has this one glaring, very loud problem at the top of their order.
Abhishek Sharma.
3 consecutive ducks.
Yeah. 3 ducks in a row in a World Cup. For an opener, there is literally nowhere to hide. You're facing the new ball. Everyone is watching. It's a nightmare.
But the reaction in the source material is wild because nobody seems to be panicking.
No, SKY Suri Kumar Yadav is totally backing him. No talk of dropping him at all. And then Quinton de Kock's perspective from the South African camp was just brilliant.
He was so nonchalant about it.
Right. De Kock just pointed out, hey, the guy is still the #1 ranked T20 batter in the world. He said, and I quote, he's bound to fail eventually. It's just happening now.
It's such a pragmatic way to look at T20 cricket. High variance.
Exactly. But the most fascinating insight on Sharma came from Virender Sehwag.
Which is funny because Sehwag is the ultimate see-ball, hit-ball guy. You'd think his advice would be to just go out and smash the first ball for 6 to break the streak.
Right. Back your natural instinct.
Yeah.
But no, Sehwag offered a totally counterintuitive tactical fix. He said the problem isn't technical skill, it's the mindset of feeling like you have to dominate right from ball 1 just because of your reputation.
So what did he suggest?
He said Sharma should be willing to play out 12 balls for 0 runs if necessary.
0 off 12 balls in a T20 power play.
I know, it sounds like absolute madness.
Yeah.
But follow Sehwag's logic. He's saying a player with Sharma's explosive ability can easily score 50 runs in his next 13 balls.
Oh, he can catch up in the blink of an eye.
Exactly. But he can't score a single run if he's sitting back in the dugout after 1 ball because he chased a wide one trying to prove a point.
It's about earning the right to bat deep, taking the pressure off the strike rate, and just focusing on survival for 2 overs.
Right. Don't let your own reputation bully you into a bad shot. Just stay out there.
That is brilliant advice. Now, while India is stressing about their opener, South Africa has a massive problem in the middle overs. The sources keep referring to this Indian bowler as a cheat code.
Varun Chakravarthy.
The stats here are mind-boggling. Listen to this. In his last 8 games against South Africa, he has taken 22 wickets.
22 wickets in 8 games.
That's nearly 3 a game.
And the really crazy part, he has taken at least 2 wickets in every single one of those 8 matches.
That's why he's the cheat code.
Yeah, South Africa literally cannot read him out of the hand. They don't know if it's spinning in, spinning away, sliding straight. It's total mystery spin.
So if you're the South African batting coach, what do you even tell your guys? Just block and survive.
Actually, the tactical chatter suggests they're going to do the exact opposite. Total aggression. They might try to sweep and reverse sweep him right from his very first ball.
Really? Why the sweep?
Because the sweep shot takes the pitch out of the equation. It negates the mystery. If you sweep, you're not waiting to see which way it turns off the dirt. You're just meeting it on the full and manipulating the angle.
You're basically saying, I don't care what variation you bowled, I'm hitting it behind square?
Exactly. It's incredibly high risk, obviously. If you miss, you're probably LBW.
But if playing him conventionally is getting them all out anyway...
It's a desperation tactic. They might as well try to mess with his length and disrupt his rhythm.
That battle alone is going to be worth the admission price. Varun against the sweepers. Now, I do want to talk about Quinton de Kock's vibe, because you mentioned him earlier.
Oh, he's the best.
The guy is totally unvarnished, like no media training filter whatsoever.
He was asked about the World Test Championship final, right? South Africa's biggest match.
Yeah, and he said he didn't even watch it. He was on holiday in America and said, quote, they don't have coverage.
Just completely unbothered.
And when they pressed him on tactics for this India game, they asked if South Africa would open with spin against the left-handers. He just shrugged. He said, I have no clue.
Could you imagine an Indian player saying, I have no clue to the press?
And never. The scrutiny on India is so intense, a billion people analyzing every word. But de Kock's attitude, that relaxed, doing my own thing vibe, that could be South Africa's secret weapon.
For sure. A relaxed team in a high-pressure Super 8 game is incredibly dangerous.
All right, let's look at the venue itself. The Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Biggest in the world. But we need to talk about the dirt. The sources highlight it's a black soil pitch.
Which is crucial. Black soil has high clay content. When they roll it hard, it's like concrete. You get true, consistent bounce.
So the ball comes onto the bat nicely.
Beautifully. It's a stroke maker's paradise.
Yeah.
But there is a very specific winning formula here that goes against standard T20 logic in India.
Right, because usually in India under lights, you want to bowl first because of the dew. The wet ball is hard to grip for the bowlers in the second inning.
Exactly. But the data here says you actually want to bat first.
Really?
Yes. But only if you can score big. The magic zone is between 190 and 210 runs. Teams that bat first and hit that bracket win 75% of the time.
What if you hit 175?
You lose. It's too easy to chase on a true pitch. But if you cross 190, scoreboard pressure kicks in. The chasing team starts taking wild risks and collapses.
And there's also a big threat for the team chasing under lights. Right, the swing.
Huge threat. For the first 3 or 4 overs in the second innings here, the ball swings wildly because of the atmospheric conditions.
Which brings us right back to Abhishek Sharma.
Oh, the script writes itself.
Imagine India bowls first. South Africa puts up 200. Now Sharma has to walk out, 3 ducks to his name, facing a violently swinging new ball under lights.
Facing someone like Marco Jansen or Aiden Markram. That is the ultimate test of mental fortitude.
Speaking of Markram, there's a serious head-to-head matchup problem for him, too.
Arshdeep Singh.
Yeah. Arshdeep has dismissed the South African captain 6 times in T20s.
6 times. That's a massive mental block. So while South Africa's middle order is having nightmares about Varun the cheat code, their captain is sweating over Arshdeep with the new ball.
It's just micro battles all over the park. So to summarize where we are, we've got a washed-out opener that secretly works out beautifully for Pakistan. We've got England looking really fragile against spin in Sri Lanka's backyard. And this massive clash of titans in Ahmedabad defined by these bogey matchups.
It's the perfect Super 8 setup. The margins are just 0 from here on out.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought from Sunil Gavaskar. Because everyone is talking about the batters and the bowlers. But Gavaskar thinks this India-South Africa game comes down to something else entirely.
This was such a classic Gavaskar observation. He says the game will be won on the boundary line.
By the fielders.
By the fast movers specifically. Ahmedabad has a massive outfield. He argues that the team whose fielders can sprint the ropes, cut off the extra single, and turn surefire boundaries into twos, that team wins.
So in a game where they might score 400 runs combined, the deciding factor is athletic speed in the deep.
Because saving 5 runs in the field means the opposition batter has to try and hit an extra 6. And forcing them to try for that extra 6 is how you force a mistake and get a wicket.
That is such a great way to look at it. Don't just watch the ball fly. Watch the fielders chasing it.
It's a game of inches.
It really is. Keep an eye out for that cheat code, Varun Chakravarthy, and let's see if Abhishek Sharma actually listens to Sehwag and just leaves the first 12 balls alone.
It's going to be a fantastic Sunday of cricket.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the T20 World Cup Super 8s. We will catch you next time.